In the last tutorial, we were working on the gums, and like I said before, we'll add a higher level of detail to help separate the gum line from the teeth. Right now, the teeth are embedded in the gum line, but we'll do that at the end of modeling our teeth. What I want to do now is work on the bottom row, and I actually combined all of the top row together. So what I'm going to do is go to mesh, separate, so that we have them all individual, and I'll press 3. Now I'm going to center my pivot in all of them, so I'll just click here. So now the center pivot of my manipulator tool is in each individual tooth. Okay, so real easy. We'll just take the front tooth and we'll duplicate it. Move it straight down, press E to rotate. I'll rotate it like this, press F to frame in, and press 4 to see the wireframe, and we'll simply just scale it down, move it up, and I'll click on the X-ray tool so I could see straight through the tooth, and it's pretty much the same method that I use for the top row, just pushing and moving vertices until this tooth looks the exact way that we want it to look like. Okay, same thing right here. I'll just take that bottom vertex and move it down. If I press 1, I could be a little easier to move. I'll press 3 again. Alright, perfect. So we have that right there. And again, what I'm trying to do is just make sure that the tooth matches the silhouette of that. Now I'll select the next one, Control D, move it straight down, press F to frame in, E, and I'm going to click on this guy. Press W, move it there. Okay, so this one needed a little bit of help to get this to look the way we want. And I'm selecting 2 vertices at a time, not 3, not 4, because if I grab more, then it's actually going to change the shape of the geometry. So we definitely don't want to do that. So it's coming along. If I press the down arrow, then it's actually going to select that. If I press the left arrow, it's like that group. So sometimes, you know, we're selecting rows of vertices, and it can become a little tiresome always having to highlight. But if I'm only selecting 2 at a time, then it's easy just to press the down arrow and scroll through and do that. So I press the, see, it didn't select the way I wanted it to. So sometimes it'll work out for you, sometimes it won't. I'll press 1 so I can see these vertices, and now I'll press 3. Let's bring that guy over. Select those 2, and then select these guys. Move them over like that, and I think I'm happy with that. Okay, next tooth. Come on up. Control D, move it straight down. I'll press F to frame in, E to rotate, like this. Rotate it like that. Bring it forward. And then rotate it a little bit more. So now I'm going to select multiple vertices. Like I said in the earlier tutorial, is that it's this tooth from an aerial view, like looking straight down, might not look anything like the way the real tooth anatomy is. The camera is not going to be in my character's mouth. It's, you know, more along the lines of just posing it. Now we will rig this and add simple animation to it, but I don't plan on putting the camera so close into his mouth to see the proper structure and anatomy for the tooth. Okay, so that looks good for me. All right, the next tooth is that guy here. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. And I'll take this fourth tooth, Control D. I'll move it straight down. Oops. And I'll use my reference image over here to do the fourth tooth. So 1, 2, 3, 4. Press this guy. Kind of get it straight on. And I'll rotate it like this. By the way, I'm a little bummed out because I didn't get my Star Wars ticket. Now, this tutorial is going to be pretty old, and hopefully it'll stay on YouTube long enough. But if you're listening to it and it's like a year old, then just like disregard what I said. It'll probably be on DVD by then. But for those of you that are watching this DVD or this tutorial now, I'm a little bummed out. So leave a comment, let me know how you feel, or if you feel the same way, or you want to cheer me up. Because my birthday is coming up on the 14th, and I can't go watch my favorite movie. Okay, sweet. So that's that, and I will. You know what? I'm going to duplicate this and not really have to deal with the headache of bringing another tooth down. But you know what? Yeah. Okay. Sorry. A little indecisive there. What I was thinking is that they were properly aligned in the top view, so I should just use that alignment, but the moment I bring it over here, it's no longer aligned with the top row. So if that made any sense then. Okay, so almost finished with this guy. And I went online to see the aerial view or the top view of the teeth, and I was like, man, how come I didn't put more energy and detail in modeling the top? And if you wanted to model the top of the tooth, by all means, please do that. And for those of you that are wondering what I'm talking about, so let's go to the top view of teeth. So something like this image, you could see that it is an extremely large image. Let's go here. So all of the detail in the tooth here, it'd be really beautiful if we paid that attention to detail. But I think that we have a good start. This tooth is a bit more round than what I have. And my viewport, so it's really, really flat. And what we can do is just take these two vertices, faces, and kind of pull them out a little bit more. And after having seen that image, I'm going to do that with these guys here. And if I wanted, let's just take that vertex and kind of push it out a little bit more. I'll press 1. So you can see what I'm doing, and push 3. If I go back to that image, see, this is what happens to being a perfectionist. You just continue to keep working until it looks right. And I think it's probably a little bit wider here. And I could probably make this area a little wider. lighter as well, so it's not so sharp. 1, 2, 3. Okay. Again, I'm not going for perfection of the shape. I am going for the perfection of the shape as it relates to the outside appearance of the tooth, but not so much as a top row. So let me grab my 2 molars, Control D, move them over here. I'll press F to frame in. I'll click on this guy. Actually, let's press E, and I'll hold J. And I'll just do this. I'll take this guy, move him to the right. Take this one, move him to the left. Now I know I have to rotate them as well. So that's that. Oh my goodness. This image is putting my molars to shame. It's really bad. But nothing a little bit of love can't fix. So we just love to do what we do, pushing and pulling vertices until we get the shape that we are going for. Okay, and so there's like a huge cluster of vertices in here. If it's hard for you to move vertices from your side view, by all means press 1, go into your perspective mode, press F to like frame in on what it is that you're doing. Oops. Move this guy over, move this one over, and select the vertices that are going to help you accomplish the task. Or you can just select, faces, whatever works best for you. So I'll kind of push these over here. I'll select, so my geometry looks a little funky. I accidentally selected extra faces, so if I hold Control, I can deselect that. And I'll just move these guys over. I'll go to Edge and maybe select these guys. My geometry is a little off here, but don't judge me. I think I might have accidentally extruded an edge somewhere along the modeling process. Alright, let me go back into my side view, and I'm going to move some vertices around. So I think ideally, if you feel like you messed up like modeling anything, you might just model it a second time around much faster than having to go back and correct your mistakes, kind of like what I was doing just now when I noticed that there was an edge that I extruded. Since the teeth don't deform, I'm not really worried about triangular shapes in there. If you did see any triangles and you're like, oh, I was taught not to have triangles, it's something I'm not going to stress out about right now. What I'm doing right now is just trying to flatten out this area of the tooth. But again, it's really not a big deal. And you can see I was trying to get the molars to look like this image, like that. See, it's nice and round, and this is nice and flat. So just for the sake of trying to make it round, and I'm not going to highlight all of these. This tool right here is the paint selection. So if I click on it, and you can see this red line, that's my brush. So if I hold B, left mouse click and drag, I'm going to keep doing that, and you see like the red numbers there. They're almost to a value that I like. If I zoom out a little bit more, look at that brush. There we go. Okay, so I'll make it smaller, and I'll just highlight these faces so I don't have to spend all day granny selecting faces. And if you're grandma watching this, no offense, I love my grandma. I'll press W and I'll move it out like that. I'll hold Control to like deselect the outside faces, deselect that, and I'll move this out just a little bit more, and then maybe that's fine. I'll press 3. I was trying to round it out a little bit more, but I think that looks fine. And then last but not least, we have our other tooth. And you know what? We're going to keep that bad boy just the way it is. So I'll hold Shift, select all 4 of these teeth. I'll move it over here. I'll press F to frame in. And I'm going to align this tooth with that one here. Okay, and I'll press Control G. Later, I'll combine everything. So modify the center pivot. I'll press E to rotate. Okay, now I'll select this first tooth and move it over. And I'm going to look at it in my, so I'll make this top panel my top view. I'll press F. Okay, and let's see, something's wrong here. Okay, this tooth looks a little bit off. So let me rotate it like this. And it looks as though I need to move a few vertices over. And then I'll take this tooth in my top view, and that looks about right. Go to my perspective view, press F, and you know, we were working with these teeth, with these 4, and we made them a little bit wider at the bottom, so I'm going to do the same thing here. I'll just select that tooth, and I'll click on this green arrow, and I'll move it forward. This tooth, I'll do the same thing. See, I'm getting inspired at the last minute. Move this here, and this tooth is a little bit wonky, so I'll move that in so it stays round like that. Move this guy over just a little bit. All right, this tooth, I'll move it here so they stay touching, like right there. This tooth, bring it in, move it to the left, move it right here. Okay, and then let's see, what's next? I'll go back to my front view and realize I have to. Okay, that will go right up there. Tooth, maybe to the left a little bit. Okay, so as you can see, I'm like using all of my views a lot. Let's see here. I know there's a view where he's like smiling, and he has an overbite, and some of his teeth don't like perfectly align. So as we're putting in the bottom row, it's actually really important for us to make sure that from the top view, not just press spacebar, that his teeth, and this is his top tooth, okay, that these front 2 teeth are pushed back. Okay, so now that like changes everything. So let's take. That's the second one I'm looking at from the top view while I'm selecting it in this view. And I'll move this guy back a little more right there. Okay, and then this tooth, move it right here and push it back. It still feels very thin as I look at it from this perspective. So what I'm going to do is press 1. I'll go to edge. I'll select that edge and move it out here. Okay. I'll press 3 again. And go to that vertex. It'll have to suffice. This next tooth, we'll move it right here and place. I'll select these molars, move them there, rotate it. Select this guy, move him over, press E, and there. And I'm not for sure if, let's see, his molars have to somewhat align. So again, I'm just making just minor tweaks. I'm looking at all of my views, and I don't know if I'm really feeling that huge bulge right there. So I'll highlight these guys, just that entire row. I'll go to my front view. And better yet, I'm just going to go from my top view and bring it inward like that. And I'm happy with that. Okay, now I'll select this entire row. Okay, I'll go to Mesh, Combine, and then I'll move them straight up like this. Press F, and so now we could see how the teeth align in his mouth. Okay, so from the side view, let's kind of adjust this tooth over like that. Alright, so that looks good. So far, so good. Okay, so I'll press F to frame in. And I'll hold D. I'll move this manipulator tool right here in the center. And then I'll press Control D. And then in your channel box editor, which is this, you'll change your scale Z to -1. I'm actually just going to save it right now because I know how my scene likes to crash anytime I do anything in my channel box editor. So I just got finished duplicating it, and I'm going to change my scale X to -1. Okay. So you're going to change your scale X or your scale Z. Alright, so now that I have this, I'm going to turn the X-ray off. I'll hold Shift, select both rows of teeth, kind of put them down here, select that row, bring them over. And if you wanted to, go in here and modify the teeth at all, just kind of get them aligned, get these guys close, and begin to make any like last minute adjustments. I'll turn the X-ray back on, go to vertex and select some of these vertices, move them down, move them around so that they're not like all the same. Front teeth at least don't feel the same. Okay, I'll press R to maybe scale it down a little bit. And again, we could spend a lot of time modifying the teeth, but I think what we have now, I think we did a fairly decent job. Right? And if you're really talented, you could take this into Mudbox or ZBrush or any other third-party application and begin sculpting. Okay, so I'm happy with this. I'm going to go to object mode, select both rows of teeth, and then go to mesh combine. Alright, now I'll move this, let's see, I'll select all the teeth here, top row, mesh combine, and then I'm going to move these guys over and then kind of get them to align, and then I'll select the bottom row and I'll move these guys over, and I see that his smile, or it could just be like his jaw is causing all the teeth to come like over this way. So I'm gonna give him the benefit of the doubt and say, hey, guy, you have perfectly straight smile. Okay, so with that being said, I'll hold shift, select both of these guys and bring them over, and I'll get the top row to align right there. I'll select the bottom, the top row, the gum line, right, the gum mesh. Control D, I'll move it down, I'll press E, I'll hold J, and then we'll kind of snap it like that. I'll press W, move it straight down, and there we go. Alright, so the next tutorial, tongue-tied, we're going to create the tongue from this mesh, and again, we still have a lot of things to do with working on the teeth as they fit in the gum line, okay, and sculpting the gum line to match perfectly with the teeth. We have the sculpting tools that Maya provides, which actually work really nice. Okay, and that is pretty much where I want to leave off now. Like I said, we're going to sculpt the teeth around the gum line. We're going to add the tongue and polish this model up. Okay, so far so good. And I hope you guys like, subscribe, and share this video with your friends and family. And I look forward to seeing you in the next tutorial.